2023 meeting of the Leitchfield Planning Commission to order at 5:01. April, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Whitmore.
Here.
Commissioner Mudd.
Here.
Chairman Buckles.
Here.
Vice Chair Clemens.
Here.
Commissioner Bocock.
Here.
Commissioner Hack.
Here.
All right. Everybody's accounted for. We also should mention we have our planning staff and our legal counsel, Dave Vickery, here this evening at the regular meeting, as well as some visitors. On the back of your agenda, you have the minutes from the October 9 meeting. You get an opportunity to skim those over, and if you do not see any changes that need to be made, we'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
We have a motion by George Hack,
Second.
second by Wes Whitmore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes are accepted unanimously. All right, at this point on our agenda, you see where we have a public hearing on a zone map amendment request, and as of a couple of hours ago, that application has been rescinded. I guess for some, for educational purposes, to kind of help us all. I know there are some of us that are a little bit newer than others and trying to maybe to find our way. When I glanced at that application a couple of weeks ago when it came, just to familiarize myself, I just kind of went through it like you all did and then kind of moved on. Then today when we got back into it, I realized that I didn't feel like that the property owner, that it was in their best interest to ask for the zone change because the position they were in was in their best interest to leave it alone. So what's able to happen on that, because I know you've all reviewed it, is they'll be able to subdivide that property or sell that parcel, and then the other business that they were asking for the change on is just a non-conforming use and will continue infinitely so long as it continues in that format. So when council shared with the applicant what their options were, they decided that the position that they had was better than the position they were asking for, and the application was rescinded. So, fair enough. All right, is there any old and unfinished business? All right, under new business, I see,
Mark?
yes.
Tyler and I were working on the height ordinance.
Yes.
And it'll be a little bit of delay on that because the fire department wants to do some research on that and give us some better parameters as to what we need to do. And then we're also working on the residential to make sure that doesn't, and we'll give you a draft on that after they get their information to us.
Okay, that sounds very good. Thank you. Any other old and unfinished business? Okay, next on the agenda, I see that Councilman Clayton Miller has asked to address the commission. Councilman, come on up. The podium is yours.
No, it's not.
If you don't mind, Clayton, turn that mic on for us.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Commissioners and Chairman. I've had some people just in the last several days out in my area and on K Mill Road that have brought complaints to me about an issue in then one of the subdivisions there, just past Hilltop Road. It's at 792 K Mill Road, where there's a house that is there, and someone has brought a huge trailer in and setting that trailer up. And I'm getting all kinds of complaints on it, wanting to know how that can be. And I went through, one of the people sent me a, Lori was trying to get it printed for me, and I haven't been able to get it printed yet. The restrictions on that when the subdivision was built. And in that subdivision, it states in restriction number 5, there will be no mobile homes, trailers, or any kind of vehicles that appear to be that may be within that subdivision. Then in number 9 on that restriction, it says, the only way that there could ever be a change is for it to be altered, canceled in whole or in part at any time by the written and recorded agreement of all the owners of lots within the subdivision. And I'm really getting a bunch of people that are upset out there bringing in trailers and devaluating their homes that are sitting there. There's a lot of nice homes in that area, and they are upset about it.
Can you tell us what subdivision it is?
It was it's one of Lester David Bruce's subdivision. It's right there when you drop over the hill there you go past Hilltop and start down, and it's on your right. You got Johnny Kane is the first house, and then it's the next one to Johnny and Carolyn, and then Johnny's mother which has passed away, is the next house down. And it is 792, it's registered 792 within the tax commissioner's office.
Hey Clayton, you said there's a house there. Did they just put the trailer in the front yard?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a house sitting there.
Yeah,
Does anybody occupy that house?
they were occupying it. The original owner that built it passed away, him and his wife. Well, they willed it to their son. Well, their son and his wife had it, and their son passed away and left it to the wife and her son and their son. So it is hers. It's registered in the tax office to this lady. I just didn't want to give any names right now.
Sure, I understand.
Uh,
You got a second? We can hear from Tyler. He may have information on this. Tyler?
Okay, yeah, I'm very familiar with this. That property is not a part of that subdivision. So those restrictions do not apply to that property. So that's why they can have that manufactured home brought in. Now, I did have them sign a statement that once the new home is set and they move out of the house that's there, then they have 90 days to demolish the existing structure.
and just let the trailer sit there.
Well, I mean, there's nothing saying that it can't be there.
They are the last residents.
No, Mr. Kane's property is the last property that is part of that subdivision.
Yeah, Mr. Kane owns the house just below them.
No, above them.
Well, he owns the house below them.
That property is not a part. I pulled the original plat of that subdivision. The property that they're putting this manufactured home on is not part of that subdivision.
Yeah, he's right. It's sitting outside that subdivision on the PVA website.
What is the property zoned?
R2.
R2?
It's a pretty decent sized property.
It's narrow, but it's very deep.
Yeah.
I would have no problem if they tore the house down, built another house there in its place. But bringing that trailer in is going to devalue the other homes in that area. And the people, the people just
Well,
don't like
it's a
it.
brand-new manufactured home.
Yeah, I know. I've
It'll
been
be
there. I've got
solid
pictures of it.
foundation,
I've been over there all
Yeah.
day with people.
but legally, we can't tell them they can't put it there.
But it is so it's not an either or, it's an either. They'll have one or the other within a certain window of time?
Yes.
You can't have two livable structures.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Because in R2, you can't have the auxiliary structure, but it's a 90-day?
Yes.
90-day out? Okay.
So their plan is to tear the house down and then
Yes.
just move that in. Okay.
And because of the size of the lot, the setbacks can still be met
Yes.
Both can be
there's-
there simultaneously in transition and still meet the setbacks?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the house, I'm assuming, the house was built prior to our ordinance, so it may or may not be within the setbacks, but the new structure is within the setbacks. And whenever it's completed and they move out of the old one into the new, they have a period of 90 days to demolish the older structure and get rid of it.
And the new structure, the new structure is behind the old structure?
No, it's in
No.
front of it.
It's in front of?
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying, the people are raising Cain about it because, you know, there's, when we go to sell our houses, if we decide to sell our homes, you know, there sits a trailer. I wouldn't want a trailer in my subdivision up there on Hilltop.
Well, I think that's unfortunately one of the pitfalls of not being in that subdivision, not having those covenants and those private covenants for protection. But it sounds like it's been explored, and there's probably not a whole lot of options, certainly with this board.
What happens if it's not demolished in 90 days? Fines?
Well, she'll get a letter saying that she's in violation of the ordinance, and that if she doesn't comply, then it'll be removed at her expense.
Okay.
There's language in our ordinance for how to handle violations.
Okay.
So it's legal to have a manufactured home in an R2 zone?
Yes,
That's what I thought I had read, you know, but,
Single-family detached or construction dwellings, modular homes, and manufactured housing that meets the modular home standards. So that's what Tyler's talking about.
I think that's one thing we probably need to discuss on this new comprehensive plan, that we might need to change that language in that, because that's not a real good idea.
No, we talked about that, if
yeah,
you remember.
about
I
a
think we probably
last
need to
meeting
try
or
to
the meeting
change the
before
language
last.
so
We didn't like that language, and that's something we're gonna change.
Yeah,
Also,
but we haven't changed it yet, have we, Dave?
No.
We haven't yet, of course, we're still working.
but there are some limitations that if you become too restrictive, you don't keep up with some of the new innovations in building technologies and other things. The way that homes are being constructed in the future isn't necessarily the way they have been constructed. So there are a lot of misnomers about what are trailers, what are manufactured housing, what are modular housing. Unfortunately, it comes down to an optics standpoint. Well, my idea of optics and your idea of good optics are probably two different things. So that's why the building structure and the format becomes important. But you still have only a certain amount of wiggle room on those things. You can't kind of go through with a broad brush and say, we don't want any of that here. Just, that's not within our allowance on KRS 100. You are allowed some limitations, but it's not just whatever you decide to do. Anybody else have any questions?
So the house will be tore down.
Yes,
Are they gonna move the trailer back to where the
No.
house is?
the trailer, or, well, it's not a trailer. The manufactured home will remain in its current place. It's gonna be its permanent place. And it'll have a solid foundation block. It's got footers under it. The axles will be removed, the tongue will be removed, and there'll be no underpinning or anything like that.
So
Thank you
Dave,
for
is
bringing
there-
it
is
to
there
our
certain-
attention.
Yeah, most
But-
definitely.
You know, when the people bring something to me, I don't know why I told Ruben, I'm always the lucky one that gets some of these things. And I've got one more item.
Oh,
And
all
I'll
right.
probably, you know, out there where the, out there by Warren RACC where the store used to be, I can't even think.
Home plate?
Home plate used to be. They're putting in a place back there, and they say that it's gonna be a place for, an office, but it is also a trailer. And, can you have a trailer sitting on now these, some more people, I don't know why me, I'm lucky. Trailer sitting on a commercial property like that?
There is a loophole in the way that this particularly written. I understand that has become a concern, and that will attempt to be tightened up. But Tyler, you want to explain this one while you can?
Yeah, situation is, you know, they wanted it for an office building. There wasn't enough space inside the existing store to do what they were wanting to do, plus have their office. So they requested this auxiliary structure to have for an office. They know that nobody can reside inside this building. I made sure of that. But another thing there, we can't tell them they can't have it for an office because the ordinance just states,
But there is nobody that can live within it.
no, they cannot, absolutely
Okay.
cannot reside inside that.
Okay. They were some people asking me because they've been moving in, some people have been moving in some clothes and things out there, and so, like, they're gonna set up homesteads.
If there's any information to the contrary of that, we certainly are interested in having that information.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
And I'm sorry for your time, and I appreciate it.
No, our time's your time. Thank you, Councilman Miller. Okay. Anybody else have any new business? With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Kendall with a motion to adjourn, Tim Bocock with a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, we are adjourned at